Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a bonus video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. Big news in the world of FPL. They have just announced the mystery chip. It's the assistant manager chip, and in this video, we'll have everything you need to know about it. My name's Tom, and I'm joined by Scott. Scott, how are you doing? Bit of a
Yeah,
surprise announcement.
I think it's quite an exciting chip and hopefully she'll add a lot to the game. So
Yeah, for sure. So it's just dropped. We're recording this minutes after the announcement. We're just getting our heads around it, but it seems exciting. Managers in FPL for the first time. I'm going to bring up onto the screen the article from the FPL website, and we'll get going through it. The basics: you buy a manager essentially, and you get points based off their club's wins, draws, goals, and clean sheets. And the managers will cost between 500,000 and 1.5 million. And then this manager, a manager, will stay in your team for 3 game weeks in a row, and you can change it as well. But it's important, Scott, that this is on top of your 15-man squad, so you're going to have to make savings from your team.
yeah, no, I think that's a massive part of the thing. I think that's where strategy will come into it. And obviously, I think it's important. Obviously, with the only is it game week 16 coming up this weekend, so we have got time to prepare for it. With it obviously only starting in game week 24, and obviously you don't have to actually use it until what you could use it in game week 35 technically, couldn't you? But yeah, I think that's going to be massive for strategy. Also, will benefit managers naturally who've got a bit of money in the bank. I think at the moment I'm on something like 0.9 million. So what another zero point 0.6 and I potentially could get Slot. Who, to be fair, with potentially the fixtures that it's looking like Liverpool might have in that time, might be the player. Although there is obviously that curveball with managers finishing five places lower, managing clubs that are 5 places lower, playing against clubs that are 5 places higher, you get an extra 10 points, of course, for a win. So the use of that and maybe of some of the bigger teams that are lower down at the moment, like some Man United, Spurs, etc., playing some of the teams that maybe wouldn't expect it by the end of the season to be where they are. That might pay a big dividends as well, I think.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get into the strategy in a sec, but I'll just read out the basic rules. The video viewers can see on screen, but for the podcast. So you choose a manager, and then if their team gets a win, you get 6 points. A draw is 3 points. Goal scored is 1 point, and then a clean sheet is 2 points. So if you've picked a manager, if you pick Enzo Maresca this weekend, well, you can't pick him this weekend, but if you were to, and Chelsea beat Brentford 3-0, you'd get 6 points, clean sheet, that's 8, and then 3 goals, you get 11. So that's a double-digit haul. So it seems quite powerful. And then the table bonus, which is going to come into its strategy, because you're probably thinking, oh, I'll just pick Arne Slot because Liverpool are the best team. But if you pick a manager whose club faces a team ranked at least 5 places higher in the Premier League, you get an extra 10 points for a win. That is massive. That's a double-digit haul. That's a golden bonus for a midfielder. So, so if you pick Russell Martin and Southampton go to Anfield and get a win, you absolutely smash it. As unlikely as that may be, but you're picking up 16 points based off one win. For potentially, if Russell Martin's as cheap as possible, for 500,000 on your budget. So yeah, that's going to be the strategy is picking out teams, and you picked out a couple on your TikTok, Scott, that teams that may improve. Crystal Palace came to mind for me, but you were looking at Man United as well.
Yeah, so there's a few teams that I think you look at. Obviously, we know that obviously Man United have struggled so far this season. They're signed 13th. Obviously, had a change of manager now, and I think you would expect, and I think we will start to see Amarim pick up. I know he's only picked 4 points in his first 4 games in the league, which is not ideal, and maybe it goes against what I'm trying to say here. But I do think a lot of us expect that they'll start to climb in the league. And then you look at sort of the teams like I mentioned earlier, the likes of Forest probably potentially. Who are up there now in fifth, and I think that's it potentially them two are playing each other. I know they've just played at Old Trafford recently, and obviously Forest have won that game, so again, maybe it goes against my theory. But even when obviously Forest go to the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think that's going to be a potential game to target. It's just going to be you're just going to have to look at your fixture phone, and then obviously look between for a 3 week period where you can pick a manager in who's one going to work with your budget that you've got to not sacrifice your own team. But another way is obviously getting someone in that's going to. I think aiming to get them 10 points is going to be massive. As you said, turns into a 16 pointer, and what for a midfielder to do that? That's 2 goals, a clean
Yeah.
sheet, and 3 bonus. I mean, That's the level of impact this can have, and for the price you're going to get these managers for as well, especially the ones that maybe you get that extra 10 points for, it could genuinely change your season completely.
Yeah, for sure. Like just a complete hypothetical. If Man United were playing Fulham, Brighton, and Forest in a 3 week stretch, and they won all three of those games, you would potentially get 48 points as a baseline, plus a few for goals and a few for clean sheets. So probably about 55 points if you manage to nail that completely. And then, of course, the extra sort of level here, and FPL mentioned it in the article that's on the screen for the video viewers, is double game weeks. So we obviously know that Liverpool have got a double coming up because of their postponed fixture against Everton. So then you've got 4 matches over a 3 week spell where you could have a manager in your team, and then again, like, you pick Arne Slot for that double. Liverpool win twice, that's 12 points. Goals, clean sheets, that's 16 points at least. And then, like, is your third Liverpool asset going to get 16 points? Like, apart from Salah and Trent, probably not. So it's pretty powerful. Do you think you might save it for a double?
Yeah, I think I'll have to obviously look at doubles, but as I said, obviously I think maybe targeting Everton again in that double might be the better play going rather than going for a Liverpool asset. I mean, Everton beat them last year,
Yeah.
and even I think you get an additional 6 points for a draw as well. In with when the managers are 5 points of a difference as well. So even if they don't end up getting that extra, obviously the whole 10 points, even if they could pick up a draw, which we obviously know is would be a result that wouldn't be that surprising if in the Merseyside derby for Everton.
Yeah.
Again, getting that would be I think is something that you definitely could target. As I said, I'm looking at it already and I'm thinking you're probably going to be wasted getting the better managers. I don't know where you stand on it.
I think with doubles, you could bring it into the equation because,
Definitely.
if you're getting, yeah, so, yeah, because that sort of doubles up as like a fourth game, basically. But if you can find a double with a team that's underperforming, it seems like you'd hit gold with this chip. So how do you sort of rank it in amongst, like, because we know this year there's going to be less double game weeks than usual. So for someone who's got all their chips, triple captain, bench boost, free hit, and now the assistant manager chip, I guess for me this has bigger potential than a bench boost and a triple captain, I think.
As I said, it depends how you want to play it because you might look at it and go, well, I haven't used my triple captain yet, and obviously I want Salah for that double, depending on who the double lies against.
Yeah.
And that I see that as a better strategy overall if you're going to target other ways. But yeah, as you said, that in terms of an actual powerful chip and the power that chips if we look at, and that's obviously where we rank this and why we decide to play certain chips in certain doubles and stuff. Which is again why a lot of people have already used triple captaincy because we know there's going to be less, obviously, doubles this year than there ever has been. I look at it and go, well, actually, this looks like a much more powerful chip, and potentially this is something to explore in a double game week for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you people say about the bench boost, you're looking for 20 points minimum or like that's usually a good week, 20 points off a bench boost. This has potential to be 20 points from a double, with a couple of wins. Triple captain, you get a sort of 10 point, 12 point haul. Again, this could be better. So this is going to give people a really difficult decision. I think I quite like it. I think it's a good chip, especially for engaged managers. It's quite complex. So if you read the rules, look at the content, I think you're going to steal a march on a lot of people in your mini leagues. Are you happy with it overall?
Yeah, really happy with it. It's a similar concept to other games that obviously that have been introduced this year, but I really do like the concept, and I think it definitely looks at because I think naturally FPL is always about just picking your best squad and picking players from different teams. I like the fact that we're actually looking at proper fixture runs for teams and picking out actual proper wins for teams. I think that's a completely different complexion rather than just looking at individuals and yeah, as a completely new element. I also think as well when you talk about strategy, there's a lot of teams in the league that we like that naturally do better against the bigger teams. They've got the like I remember Crystal Palace's home record against the top six has always been something that I've looked at as something that every time you go down there as a big team, it's always a struggle. And again, picking them teams that actually, yeah, maybe they struggle against teams around them, but when it comes to playing against the better teams, they pick up results. They're going to be the sort of teams that are going to be absolutely perfect for this, I think. Again, and even look at like West Ham in what 14th, so you could pick them against Bournemouth if they're playing Bournemouth at home. Again, there's just so many options I think with this. And I think it's nice that it's not just picking slot every week. I think that they've made that. I think the fact they've made this extra ruling with the five sort of the difference of five league positions will be a massive help to the chip, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And you were talking about before we came on to record about EFL in fancy EFL, which you've been playing this year. You pick teams. So have you got any sort of tips? What's your strategy for that in on that game?
Yeah, so there's been a few different ways. I mean, obviously the difference with this chip is that in EFL fantasy you get like I think you get 5 points for I'm trying to work it out in my head. Yeah, you get 5 points for a win. You get 2 points for a clean sheet, similar to obviously doing this, and then you get 2 points as well for an away win, which is slightly different. But the way that's always been the best in that so far, I've noticed, has been actually not to target the worst teams, and maybe they've looked at that as a blueprint and seen that actually, because you sometimes go, well, actually, when Crystal Palace play against, I don't know, Ipswich, you'd expect a definite win there, and obviously that's just happened. But actually, we found in that game that that hasn't been the case at all, and you've seen results sort of go all over the place, and you've actually just been better picking the teams, maybe like Leeds United and Birmingham and other teams that have sort of been guaranteed wins against other opposition, and they've been the best source of points so far from that extra from the team picks. However, again, I can't stress enough that I think that the power of getting an extra 6 points for a draw or an extra 5 points, I believe it is,
Yeah.
and an extra 10 points for a win is going to be so massive in this that I think that might flip the switch again for a different way to target it than EFL fantasy, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. That's 10 points for a win if they're 5 places higher is
But even a
that could
five
be
points for a
so
draw,
powerful.
like that's massive.
Yeah.
Because that brings a lot more teams into question. Like our Everton probably going to beat our Everton obviously probably going to beat Liverpool. Well, possibly not. But there's again at Merseyside derby. I think what in the last about 3 out of 4 have probably been 0-0. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
like that is a result that happens consistently. And yes, Everton are not winning the games, but getting their extra 5 points for a draw. Is absolutely massive as well. So yeah, I think yeah, I'll be interested to see how people play it, but from an instant reaction, I think I've got to think that targeting teams 5 plus is lower. It is going to be a play, and it also, as you said, it'll save you budget, so it means you can have a better team actually with your 11 that are going to be starting, and obviously your bench.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll wrap it up there. I'll just quickly go over it again. So the mystery chip has been announced. It's the assistant manager chip. It's playable from game week 24, so that's in January. So we've got a few weeks yet to think about strategy. When you activate the chip and choose your assistant manager, you score points for their club's results for 3 game weeks in a row. So obviously in that period you can't activate another chip. So you couldn't play the assistant manager in game week 24 and then hope that Liverpool have a double in 25 and then play triple captain. You can't do that. You can transfer your managers in and out, but it's the same budget, so you don't get extra money. So you're going to have to fund something. So for me, I've got 0 million in the bank, so I would have to do say like Jackson to Jimenez, and then I could buy Pep Guardiola. So that's didn't think I'd be saying that sentence, but it's quite fun. And then yeah, you get points. So team win is 6 points, team draw 3 points, goal is 1 point, and clean sheet is 2 points. But as we've been talking about, and excitingly, if the manager's facing a club that's at least 5 places higher, so for example, Manchester United were playing Fulham in recent soon, then that would be an extra 10 points for a win. So you're getting 16 in total if you back that United win against Fulham, which is a lot of points. And then yeah, so that's more or less it. The managers will be priced 500,000 to 1.5 million. So I'm guessing Pep will be 1.5, and promoted teams will be 0.5, I guess. And yeah, and they count towards the club total. So if you have 3 Liverpool players, you have to sell one before you can buy Arne slot.
It is. It's. I think there might be a potential that maybe when we've talked about obviously teams, and I've obviously looked at the bottom teams. The main difference with this as well, I think that could be really interesting is you obviously get a point every goal. So if a team absolutely smashes somebody, then you get 6 or 7. You could easily stack up a lot of. So like I remember obviously in a double a few years ago when Liverpool played at home to Norwich and Leeds. I think they beat Leeds like 6 or 7 nil. Well, them extra points there could be massive, and that again could maybe swing you away from picking some of the worst teams you've seen. I mean, Man City. I know they're not quite in the rhythm right now, but over the years, the amount of teams that they've smashed at the Etihad, would you be that surprised if they played, I don't know, who have left, they got to play Leicester at home at the Etihad and won 5 or 6-0. I think again that's going to be a way you can target for sure.
Yeah, I mean 6-0
If you
win, that's 6 points for goals and 2 for clean sheets.
exactly, yeah,
For a win, that's 14 points overall. So that's
yeah. So that's you're nearly getting at the point of like a lower team beating a higher team at that point as well.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you, Scott, for joining me for Instant Reaction. We'll have plenty more content on the way. Obviously, we're building up now to January when we can actually use this chip. Scoutcast is tonight as you're watching this on Wednesday, so they'll be discussing it more, and we'll have plenty more Instant Reaction over on the site as well. So, Scott, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Please remember to like and subscribe. Cheers.